Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and another tutorial. I am super excited to be doing the launch tutorial for this incredibly cute bag. This is different than any tutorial I have ever done. This is the Mylo Bat Bag by Catsiopeia Patterns. It is just so creative and so incredibly cute. Let me show you some of the features of this bag. So you kind of see here we got these decorative wings. Now, I just sewed these, but with the pattern, it also comes with embroidery files. I don't have an embroidery machine, so I just kind of did it myself. I show you how I did it in this tutorial. It's got these super cute vampire type teeth. It's a crossbody shoulder bag type thing. She opens up, we got a zipper pocket on one side. I opted to put the slip pocket on the inside. In the pattern, they actually put it on the back side. You could do either or, use your imagination. But yeah, she's actually just a really simple bag. You have cam snaps to hold the wings in place, which also helps hold the bag kind of shut in a way. I don't know. This was just such an incredibly fun make. Thank you so much, Bethany, for creating such a cute little bag. Vinyls I use in this big bag. This is the Lucky Dice glitter vinyl from Galaxy Customs. The lining fabric, again, is just something I had left over in my stash, probably from Fabricland, I would think. My matte black hardware is from Atelier Fiber Arts. Interfacing this bag, I use Pretty in Pink Sew Foam from Galaxy Customs and EB Fuse Lite from Emmaline bags and all of my cotton woven pieces. And I use Decovil Heavy for my stabilizer on the bottom. What else? Yeah, I think that's all there really is to say about this bag. So how about we get to making it? I'll catch you guys on the other side.
All right, so you're going to need some rivets, some cam snaps, a slider, a number 5 zipper pull, 2 D-rings, a magnetic snap, and some number 5 zipper tape, and of course your nameplate. Okay, you're going to need 2 connector pieces and your crossbody strap piece. Okay, so you're going to be cutting 4 sets of these wings mirrored to one another. 2 sets, you will have Decovil Heavy fused to the back outside of the seam allowances. Okay, you're going to need 4 teeth pieces. 2 of those will have Decovil Heavy outside of the seam allowances on the back. You're going to need your flap outer and lining piece, your bottom outer and lining piece. Again, all of my lining pieces are backed with EB Fuse Lite. You're going to need 2 exterior side panels and 2 lining side panels. You're going to need 2 lining main body pieces and 2 exterior main body pieces. You're going to need an outer and lining slip pocket piece, 2 zipper pocket lining pieces, and your foam. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do my crossbody strap off camera. The class is down below if you need it. Okay, so to make the connectors, I've drawn a center line on my connector pieces, and I am using some double-sided tape to fold the long ends of these into that center line. Then I'm going to go ahead and top stitch those folds with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Now to put the D-rings on these connectors, I've just put a little bit of double-sided tape at the bottom and folding them wrong sides together, and then you can put those aside for now. Okay, let's prepare these bat wings. So you're going to take the 2 sets that have the Decovil Heavy fused to the back, and we're going to mark where we're going to put our cam snaps. So I'm just using the marking place on the pattern piece. I've punched a little hole, and I'm just transferring that mark onto the back side of my wings. Okay, so I'm just using a set that I bought off of Amazon. I'm not sure what it's called, but they're similar to cam snaps, I guess. And I'm using the hole punch tool that came in that kit. It's a very inexpensive kit. I think it was maybe $15 or so. Okay, so once I have those, I'm going to take my two wings that are kind of going to the left. And I am going to install my male piece into these two. Again, using my tool that came with these. If you have a cam snap press, you can definitely use that as well. I do not have one, so I am just doing it the manual way. Okay, so that's the two male pieces done. Now I'm going to go ahead with the opposite facing ones and put in the female snaps. Again, using the tools that came with my kit. I said these are so easy to install. Smash, smash, smash. Okay, and then you'll see how these are going to go together like so. And these are going to be the insides of our wings on the bag. So I'm just making sure that they do indeed line up. And they do. Okay, so now I am going to take my other four pieces that don't have the snaps on them. And I'm just going to take my leather pen. This is just my Tandy leather pen. And I'm drawing out the lines for the decorative stitching. Again, you can use the embroidery file for this if you have an embroidery machine, or you can also just wing it. I actually end up kind of winging it as I go, using these marks as a guide, of course. So you are going to want to mark all four of these pieces. Again, these are the pieces that do not have the Decovil Heavy on one side or the snaps. Okay, so now we want to put these together. I'm going to use a little bit of double-sided tape. You can also use glue. Just keep it out of your seam allowances if your machine does not like, well, I guess we're going to be stitching through the whole thing. So if your machine does not like double-sided tape, definitely use glue. So I'm going to stick one of the snap panels with one of these panels, wrong sides together, matching up as close as I can. You don't have to necessarily trim this up now. We will trim it up later on. And once we have all four of those done, you're going to go ahead and you're going to top stitch these together with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, as well as go ahead and do our decorative stitching on all four. Take it nice and slow around the curve so you get a nice line, because the stitching is going to show. I do a lot of needle down and hand cranking to get around that curve. I find that helps a lot. As you can see, that is what I'm doing here. So I found it was easiest to do the outside stitching first and then go back in later to do the decorative stitching. Now you do want to make sure that your bobbin thread is a really good tension as well, because the bobbin thread is going to show on the other side too. So you want to make sure your top stitching is very, very pretty on both the needle side and on the bobbin side. Okay, and once that's done, go back in and follow those lines that we drew, or just wing it. Haha, see what I did there? Wing it. Anyways, I'm terrible at jokes. Make sure you backstitch at the beginning and the end so this decorative stitching does not come out later. And then you're going to go and do the exact same thing with the other 3 wings. All right, so we have 4 wings all done together. Now what you want to do is you just want to trim this up so our wings match up on both sides equally. I find it easiest to do this with a rotary color, as you can get curves done really nice with the rotary color over scissors. Just don't cut your fingers. And the reason we are cutting these up nice and even is because they will, of course, look good. You can leave these edges raw, but I'm going to go ahead and use my Giardini edge coat and do that. So that class is down below. All right, so let's prepare our teeth. So similar to how we did our wings, we are going to tape them wrong sides together. So one that has the stabilizer on it to one that doesn't have the stabilizer on it. And then we're going to go ahead and top stitch these with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. And I will also take these over and edge paint the raw edges. Right, so again, you want to trim these up just like we did with the wings before you go and edge coat it. All right, so now I'm going to take my flat piece and my 2 main panels and I'm going to put them onto foam, just baste them on. And now it's time to do our snap marking. So I'm going to use my pattern piece and my tandy leather pen here and mark where my snap is going to go on my main exterior piece, my front panel. And I am going to install my female snap onto there. And then on my lining flat panel, I'm going to do the same, use my pattern piece to mark where I will put the male end of it. I will be backing these with Decovil Heavy as well, as you can see here, to give it a little extra stability. And then I like to take a little bit of Gorilla or duct tape just to put over those snaps so I know that the prongs will not rub through later on. Okay, so now let's make our slip pocket. You're going to take the 2 pieces and put them right sides together and go across here with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, now I want to press these wrong sides together. So for my vinyl side, because I can't go and iron it, I'm going to use a little bit of double-sided tape to push the seam nice and flat. Again, only do this if your machine can handle the double-sided tape. Otherwise, hold it in place with clips. So I'm pressing them wrong sides together here. And then I will be top stitching this fold with a 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, so now we are going to go ahead. You're going to see I made a mistake here. I have my main panel piece upside down, so my flap is going to sit up a little bit higher than it should, but that is okay. It still looks good. So make sure that you have your main body piece the right way around. Otherwise, yeah, my snap should look like it's lower because I have it upside down. Okay, so I am just marking with my tandy leather pen here where I am going to be placing my wings. So we are going to want to put our wings on here, right sides together at those marks. So the top of the wing just before it curves is going to go right at that mark that we just made. Same with the other side. Okay, so I didn't put the slip pocket on the exterior back like as in the pattern. I put it on the lining side. So it is at this point before you put on the wings that you would baste your slip pocket on if you wanted it on the exterior. So go ahead and baste those wings to the front and the back panels. Actually, first make sure, kind of put them wrong sides together and make sure you have a male and a female side of the snap here so the wings will be able to clip together, because if you have two females and two males that come together, they are not going to snap. So go ahead and baste those on. All right, so now we are going to do our fang placement. So again, using our pattern piece, you're going to mark right where the teeth are going to go. Still seems so weird to say teeth in a bag. All right, so I've put a little bit of double-sided tape and I am just putting these to the left and the right of that mark. If your machine does not like double-sided tape, you can definitely just clip these into place. Then I'm taking my lining flat piece, putting it right sides together with that and clipping it all in place. Okay, and I'm going to go around here with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. All right, so that's done. So I am going to take my pinking shears, not cutting through the teeth, but just a little bit around that curve, but do not cut the teeth because that'll be too hard to get through with my pinking shears, just to help it turn a little bit nicer in those corners. And you can go ahead and turn this right side out. And pull those seams out nice and flat. I'm just using my finger. And I'm going to hold the seam in place with some clips so it doesn't shift when I go to take it to top stitching. So continue clipping all the way around, and when you're done that, go ahead and top stitch with a 1/8 of an inch seam allowance and baste shut the top of the flap. So that is done. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I put on my nameplate. Now we are going to attach our bottom panel. So in the four corners of our bottom panel, you're going to put 3/8 of an inch squares. You'll also see I have fused on my Decovil Heavy piece here for my bottom stabilizer. Okay, take one of your exterior main pieces and line it up along the bottom. And then you're going to go square to square with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Do not sew past that square. Just like so, and then go ahead and do the exact same thing with the other side of the bottom and the other main panel bottom. Okay, so this is what we have here. Now we are going to attach the sides. So you want to take your side panel, and along the bottom, you want to draw a 3/8 of an inch line. Also, you could do a 3/8 corner in to the bottom of these corners as well. I should have done that right here, but I do that here once I already have these clipped to the bag. So it would be helpful to do a 3/8 corner, just like we did for the bottom, at the bottom of these, and you will see me do it here pretty quick. So you're going to line that up, and you're going to see where we didn't sew through. You're going to be able to match up, kind of pull the main panels out of the way and match up the bottom and the side panels, like so. I believe this is called a Y-seam. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it is. So kind of fold the main panel corner that's not stitched down out of the way so you can match up the raw ends of the side and the bottom like this. And you do the same with the other side. Again, kind of folding the main panel out of the way so you can line up the bottom and the side panel. And this is where I realized I didn't draw my 3/8 start and stop marks, so I'm just going to kind of pencil those in now. And then we'll take this to the machine and go from 3/8 inch mark to the other 3/8 inch mark on both sides. Do not sew past those 3/8 of an inch marks. And if you've done this properly, you'll see that our corners match up perfectly from when we sewed on the bottom. Go ahead and do the exact same thing with the other side. Okay, so now this is what we have. So now we want to bring the sides and the main panels together. So you're going to kind of bring them up like so, clip them together. And then you're going to take this to the machine and you're going to sew this on with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, stopping at that 3/8 of an inch line that we have on the side panel. So you don't want to sew right to the bottom. You want to stop at that 3/8 of an inch line at the bottom of the side panel. And then just double check that all of our stitch lines match up. Because I'm using such a thick vinyl, I'm also going to go just on the 1/8 of an inch inside that first seam that we made in the seam allowance, just to give it a little extra stability to make sure my stitches don't pop. Do the same with the other 3 sides. Okay, so that is done. We have the exterior part done here. And now we just need to add on, first I am going to go ahead and I'm just going to trim up the bulk in these corners. So I'm kind of folding it here, making sure I don't cut through any of those stitches. I'm just kind of cutting off the little corners that were at those 3/8 of an inch corners. So make sure you don't cut your stitching at all, just trim off a little extra. Go ahead and turn this right side out. Not gonna lie, glitter vinyl likes to stick to itself, so it's a little tough to turn down, but it's definitely worth the effort, trust me. As you can see here, it's liking to stick to itself, but that's just because of the vinyl, but it just is so lovely with this bag. Okay, so I'm just gonna make sure that my snaps match up. And they do. Super cute. Okay, now we are going to add on our flap. First, I want to find the center of my front and back, so I'm just matching up my seams and then making a snip at my center back and at my center front. Match up the seams again and make a snip. You could definitely do this before it's sewn together. I obviously just forgot to do it. Okay, then you're going to take the flap and the exterior back and put them right sides together, matching up center marks, and clip this in place. So make sure you're putting this on the back side of the bag and that they are right sides together. Okay, and now you're going to take your 2 connectors that you made, and we are going to line these up along that raw edge with the kind of lining it up with the end of our flap. So you're going to want to put it in between the flap and the exterior of the bag like so. Now this, when we go to sew, this is going to be a little bit of a thick seam, so you definitely may want to use a hump jumper when you go to sew this. I know that I used mine. And then do the same with the other side, securing with clips. And then we're going to go ahead and just baste these in place. Okay, so we have that all basted in place. You can see my connectors are there. I'm just making sure this lines up. Again, my flap is sitting a little higher because I did my main panel upside down, so it's about an inch higher than it should be. And of course, you would have had your slip pocket on the back here if you chose that option. So I'm putting my slip pocket on the lining side, so I'm using my front lining panel, and I've basted that to it. I've gone ahead and I've done my interior zipper pocket for easy turning. If you need a class on that, that is in the description below. Okay, so we are going to put our lining together very similar to our exterior with slight differences. So on the bottom, we are going to do a 5/8 of an inch square. The reason we are doing this is we want our lining to be a little bit smaller than our exterior. That way it is not as baggy and loose inside the bag. So you're going to mark your 5/8 of an inch squares. And I'm also leaving an opening in the bottom. This is not part of the pattern. The reason I'm doing this is for my turning, because I am using such a glitter vinyl, which does like to stick to itself. I just figured this would be easier for turning in the long run. So I've gone ahead and done that. And so you are only going to sew in between the lines that you've made on either side of that opening, from the 5/8 square to about here and back stitch, and same with on this side. And then you'll go ahead and add the other bottom piece from 5/8 to the 5/8 inch straight across. So here you go. You can see I have my opening in the bottom, and the other side is completely sewn across. Okay, so now we're going to add our side pieces, again doing it the same as we did with the exterior. On the bottom, it will be different with the top. So on the bottom, we are going to mark 5/8 of an inch squares, just on the bottom sides. And then attach this to the bottom of the bag, just like we did with the exterior. Okay, now that we have that done, now this is slightly different. So you're going to match up the sides. And what we're going to be doing different here is we are going to start stitching it at the top, the 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, and then about a third of the way down, we are going to branch out into 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Now the reason we do this is we need the top of the lining to be the same circumference around as the exterior, so they will fit together for when we go to sew the lining to the exterior. So it'll be the same size on top, but as we get down into the bag, the lining will branch out and be slightly smaller, and that'll prevent bagging of the lining later on. So again, we are going to start at the top, sewing 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Then once we hit right about here, we're going to branch out to 5/8 of an inch seam allowance and not go past our 5/8 squares. So you can see here, all my stitches match up, which is what we want. I've gone ahead and done it with the other side, and we have the opening in the bottom. Okay, so now we get to put this all together. So open your flap up so it's down like this. You're going to have to unsnap your wings. And we're going to take our exterior and stuff it into the lining, right sides together. Make sure you're orientating where you want your zipper pocket to be. I like mine to be at the back of the bag, so I'm making sure I'm putting it in that way. Now it's going to be tight because remember that our lining is slightly smaller than our exterior at the bottom. As long as it's the same width on top, that is what we like. You can just squish the bag right on in there. And then what we're going to do is we are going to want to match up the 4 seams of our exteriors and our lining pieces so we know it's going to line up nicely, and then secure these with clips. So I like to go ahead and match up the 4 seams. And then in between the seams, distribute that fabric evenly and clip into place for the sides and the main panels. You're going to have to kind of make sure that you're kind of folding your wings down that way, because you don't want to accidentally stitch them into this top seam. So kind of just bend them down. They'll be fine. See, I'm bending mine down, folding it out of the way. And clip it all the way around. Okay, so we're clipped around. Now if I was doing this on my flatbed, I would probably go ahead and stitch it like this from the inside of the bag with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. But I'm using my cylinder arm. This is exactly why I bought it. It wasn't necessarily a need, it was more of a want, but it definitely makes doing bags easier. As you can see here, I can just put it around the arm. So go ahead and sew this with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Make sure you use your hump jumper over those connector pieces if need be, so you don't get hung up on it, and sew all the way around. Okay, so that is done. Now I have my opening in my pocket, which I want. I'm going to go ahead and turn through the opening at the bottom of the bag. If you haven't done an opening in the bottom of the bag, go ahead and turn it through that pocket. When we're done doing this, I'm actually going to close the bottom of my bag out through that zipper pocket. So I've just added in an extra step, mainly because of my vinyl choices here. Glitter vinyl likes to stick to itself, so this just helps get it through a lot easier, I think, than doing it through the pocket. Once you get those wings and that flap out, it comes out really easy. Poke out all your seams best that you can. And then once you've done that, stuff your lining into the bag. And then we are going to finger press all of our top seams down where we want them to be and secure with clips. I'm just double checking if my magnetic snap does indeed match up, even though it's a little higher than it should be. And go ahead and clip all the way around. You will not be able to clip by the flap, so you will just have to be very aware of what your lining is doing when you go to top stitch this. Okay, so you're going to go ahead and top stitch all the way around and all the way across the back here. Now if you're at a flatbed machine, you're probably going to hold it on like this, but I am going to take it to my cylinder arm machine, and it's going to be super easy. so now we are going to seal up the bottom of the bag. I'm pulling out my zipper pocket, reaching in through the opening and pulling through the opening in the bottom of the bag. And I'm going to take some clips to clip together the raw edges, and then I'm going to sew across this opening with a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance from where we started and stopped our stitches when we originally left this hole. And then you stuff the lining back through, and then you are going to top stitch the folded edge of your zipper pocket shut, and that'll be finishing up the sewing of the bag. Stuff the zipper pocket in, close up the flap, and go ahead and install your crossbody strap. And once you have that all done, we are done.
All right, that's it. That's all, folks. I hope you really enjoyed making this bag. Again, it's a really quick make. I think I could probably get it done in about 4 hours or so, cut to finish. Yeah, super fun. I can't wait to make these in all the glitter vinyls. I swear, they're just so adorable. Anyways, thanks again, Bethany, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye.